Why the JFK Hoax, Part 3. In Part 3, we're going to look at war. Now remember, when there's a death, that death produces a state of shock in the lives of the loved ones. So if you can imagine or know of your own experience when someone died in your family, the shock that came through your family because of a death. In a similar manner, the nation went into a state of shock after the so-called hoax death of John Fitzgerald Kennedy in November of 1963. LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, will take office. And in the year 1964, war is just nearby. Now there will be a hoax incident called the Gulf of Tonkin incident. And it is a hoax. Government documents, declassified, will show the public that it was all a lie. Admiral Morrison, the father of the famed singer Jimmy Morrison of the Doors, will instigate the hoax upon the public. And I'm going to play this cartoon to reenact the hoax. And I'm glad it's a cartoon because it was a hoax. But the author of the video I'm going to show certainly doesn't believe it was a hoax. But I do thank the author of this video. I'm borrowing it so that you can begin to understand that after Camelot, that is the administration of John Fitzgerald Kennedy, will come rioting in the streets in America and war in Southeast Asia. So this is the video explaining to you about the so-called Gulf of Tonkin incident. Let's watch it and then I'll talk some more.
The Gulf of Tonkin incident, 1964, the Vietnam War. The Gulf of Tonkin incident, or the USS Maddox incident, is the event responsible for America's entry into the Vietnam War. Vietnam was divided into halves, North and South, ruled by separate regimes, but the United States were concerned that Ho Chi Minh and the Communists would win the upcoming elections and were determined to stop the spread of communism. U.S. military involvement, however, had been minimal until 1964. President Lyndon B. Johnson had been training South Vietnamese mercenaries, sending them into North Vietnam to carry out acts of sabotage and gather intel. On July 31, 1964, South Vietnamese commandos had attacked North Vietnamese targets in the Gulf of Tonkin. On August 2, 1964, American naval destroyers had moved into North Vietnam waters to gather intelligence on the enemy's naval strength. The USS Maddox was nearing the mouth of the river Delta when Captain Herrick noticed that they were being followed by North Vietnamese torpedo boats and had intercepted communications of their intention to attack, so he fired 3 warning shots. The USS Maddox was then fired upon by the enemy torpedo boats. Captain Herrick retaliated and opened fire on the torpedo boats, and with the assistance of U.S. jet fighters, hit all 3 enemy targets. The enemy boats had fired their torpedoes, but they all missed. The USS Maddox then retreated back into international waters. 2 days later, a second patrol was launched into the Gulf of Tonkin by the USS Maddox and the USS Turner Joy.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. So what will happen then is that this will be reported to the public as R-E-A-L, real, but it's really R-E-E-L, real as in film. Okay, now the documents have been declassified. The Gulf of Tonkin incident never happened, but it would lead to the Gulf of Tonkin resolution. And the Gulf of Tonkin resolution will give the full powers to the president to do what is ever necessary in Southeast Asia to stop this aggression, this communist aggression. And at that time, they promoted what was called the domino theory. That is, like dominoes stacked up. When one domino falls, because it's near the other dominoes, everything around it will fall. So, in other words, by going into Vietnam, they would protect all of Southeast Asia. Again, these are theories, and it was just a bunch of gobbledygook to bring about another phony hoax war upon the American public and create another huge, enormous debt to impose on the heads of all American citizens, the corporations, the corpse with the oration. And that's what you are with your name in capital letters. That's what I am with my name in capital letters. Whether you like it or not, you run a corporation, a corpse with an oration. Whether you like it or not, it's the way it is. And many out there will say you can get out of it and they do this and do that, but I think that's a bunch of malarkey. If you try to do a lot of that stuff, you just make big trouble and you'll have big debts and you'll probably regret it. So you just go along with it. You're a corpse with an oration, and the debts of war are placed on your head and the heads of your children and the heads of your grandchildren. The debts of previous wars were placed on the heads of my parents and my grandparents, whether I liked it or not. So this Gulf of Tonkin resolution will then give full powers to the president to increase troops and get a good war started over there in Vietnam. Now, under JFK, there wasn't much American activity. Advisors had been sent, but there were basically no troops present, no troops fighting. But now under LBJ, we will have not only fighting in the streets, we will have fighting in Vietnam. So here's some clips of fake war footage in Vietnam.
This is it. Live or die.
Just shooting off into empty fields. Okay, a lot of smoke. A lot of added sound. They're definitely shooting, but there isn't anything out there. Would you run around like that if there was live fire? Okay, most likely grenades are much a farce.
The boss. Here
They don't really do much of anything.
From Bastogne to
Except
Vietnam,
in your mind.
the tradition remains unbroken, magnificent. The Screaming Eagle.
You're gonna get up and run like that? If there's machine gun fire, that's added sound. Tell me, would you be standing up? If you thought somebody over in that field had a rifle and was shooting, would you be standing up like that?
A small part of Operation Hawthorne is over. Some of the men of the 101st will fight no more.
Just
But
playing
for this
hopscotch.
day, the bastions of freedom held. They came from the north, a full battalion. Their weapons, not ours, have been silenced.
Okay, so what's going to happen is that after Camelot, after JFK, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, will come a nightmare. The nightmare will be on the streets in the United States with rioting, and there will be a nightmare in Southeast Asia called Vietnam. And the debt will be enormous. There's always an enormous debt from war. All wars are bankers' wars. and corporations wars, because the bankers and the corporations all prosper tremendously by the production of materials. And then the debt that is incurred will then go on to my head and your head. So, for example, my mother in her generation may have been paying for the debts of World War I. Example, for me, at my age, I might have been paying for the debts of World War II. Now, my children and grandchildren, they might be paying for the debts of Vietnam and Gulf War. So the debt eventually goes on to the public, and the public is completely unaware of it. So the third reason why the JFK death was faked to then take America into war almost overnight. Remember, the nation is in a state of shock because of JFK's death. And in a way, the nation has been numbed and dumbed. Okay? A lot like when you have been given anesthesia for surgery or some type of medication injected into your gums when the dentist is working on you to make sure that your nerves don't feel this. In a way, the nation wasn't really feeling a whole lot early on because it was in a state of shock. And riots happened in the streets of America, and far away, over 15,000 miles or so away, you would have a war in a little unknown country called Vietnam. Hence, the third reason for the hoax death of JFK was to quickly get the nation into a war far away in Vietnam while the nation was in a state of shock and wouldn't really comprehend or feel the impact of the commitment of troops in Southeast Asia. And Vietnam War would go on for many years and be one of the longest undeclared wars of the United States and incur a great debt. So I'd like to thank you for watching this video, as always. End of video.